Oh my goodness. Around like 25 to 30 hours later, myself and our team finally beat the Crota's End raid on contest mode and on challenge mode. And I just wanted to make a video sharing my thoughts on it. And don't worry, if you're wondering about highlights, the funny moments of our experience, that will be uploaded, of course, within the week. I'm working on it. It's a lot of hours to rewatch and take the good moments and just the highlights, so just bear with me. That's being worked on right now. But I just wanted to make a video just sharing my thoughts on the experience and what I think about this version of a contest mode, because I know that Rune of Nightmares was getting a lot of mixed opinions because of it being pretty much too easy for a lot of people, and I will agree. I mean, that was the first day one that I have actually been able to complete, was Rune of Nightmares. And granted, all the other ones, the main reason why I've never really gotten day one is because I'm not one of those people that will go past a certain threshold of hours of game time. I kind of call it quits after around maybe like 12 hours of the day or whatever. But this was one of those moments where we still beat it within a pretty reasonable amount of time. And I know that Rune of Nightmares was considered one of the easiest raids ever. People were beating Nezarec with just Rat Kings. And you may think that that's funny, but I told you Rat King is the king. So there's proof. But yeah, Rune of Nightmares was very easy. It is. I will agree. I'm not like saying that, that day one emblem. Oh my goodness. That was that was harder than Last Wish day one. No. But it was still a challenge, and I still think that it was still fun to go through. But yeah, mixed opinions about Rune of Nightmares, especially when you compare it to Vow. But Crota's End, also known as the public event, the Strike, it's back. It has a vengeance. I don't think Crota likes being reused like 7 different times. You know, he's in D1. He's in the Age of Triumph. He's back again in a Nightmare. He's in Dares of Eternity. And now he's back in D2. Pretty sure I'm missing another thing, but where he was like reused, but yeah, he's been reused a decent amount of times. Almost like Taniks. Almost. Actually, I would like to see like how much has Taniks been reused versus Crota. I think they're kind of like almost there, but I think Taniks is a little bit more. But yeah, this public event, this Strike, came back with a vengeance. They have pretty much kept the foundation of the mechanics of the raid that you know for D1, like all the mechanics, but they changed them a little bit to make them less of a strike, where you actually have mechanics that you have to go through before you can do this or that. Like one of the first things that we were shocked about was the first encounter. Instead of just standing on the plate, well, not first encounter, just starting it, they introduce you to the Chalice of Light. And like most raids, whenever there's a mechanic, that is something that is going to be thrown around in every other one afterwards, and they do. So that Chalice of Light, get used to it. Get used to it with your team, because it's there till the very end. But essentially, how the Chalice of Light works, and I won't really explain all the mechanics, this is just kind of sharing my thoughts, but I'll at least explain the Chalice of Light. Somebody grabs it, and then it starts to charge. You can juggle it between teammates where you don't get the buff or debuff, as long as it doesn't charge. But when it charges, if someone takes it off of you, you get 1 buff and 1 debuff. The buff is Enlightened, and the debuff is like Drain of Light, where you can't grab the Chalice again until that timer is gone. if you're enlightened, you can use that to charge the plate. In this case, for the beginning, to make the bridge go faster. And this mechanic is used to like light the lamps in the first actual encounter. It's used to accelerate the bridge in the bridge encounter. It's used to be able to go through walls and take out these wizards to do DPS on Uryut. It's used to expunge, to do extra damage or increase the damage phase of Uryut, I think is how it works. And it's also used to allow you to grab the sword for the final encounter. It's crazy. You actually have to communicate. You have to work together, and everyone has a job. Like, there's not just somebody, oh yeah, you can just clear ads. Like in Root of Nightmares, I think that is the easiest raid to teach, probably to teach somebody or two people, because in most cases you can have two floaters, just two ad clears the whole time. This one, yeah, you gotta work together in most cases, it seems. I don't know. I think that there might be like one person that doesn't have to, at least in contest mode. Who knows what it's like after, and I plan on playing after, like seeing what non-contest mode feels like. I can't wait. But because it's probably gonna be after us doing contest mode, it's gonna be funny to see the damage differences. But yeah, like the first encounter with the lambs, with they have those gosh darn lamps going back and forth. It's like, it led to a lot of funny moments of us getting knocked off, getting knocked out of the map. Essentially, we're falling into the holes because we really can't see it. But you know, everyone who knows Minecraft back in the day, with Xbox 360, at least this is what I did on Xbox 360, you turned up the gamma so then you could see. Yeah, I did that in the caves. Oh, end game. Oh, you don't have any torches? Oh, turn up the gamma. Just do that, lamps. I did not do that though. For lamps, you couldn't see them. You had to call them out. We had wither hordes, so people were like throwing wither horde down the sea. We had arc souls also that was like helping light the path almost. But it was a really fun encounter. They made lambs into something that was just like, okay, whatever. And you can't really cheese it either. You need to take the chalice with you. You have to make it through. I don't know if you can. I don't think you can skip where the lamps go, but basically you have to light the entire way, like connect the dots. And it will be random on where you deposit, but I thought that was kind of cool to ensure that the encounter is actually an encounter. I still think that it's going to be pretty easy, especially when, like I said, contest mode is over. It was easy even on challenge mode. We pretty much did kind of cheese it in challenge mode. We did Strand with grapple, and I used Rat King that allows me to heal and go invisible, so the thralls would leave me alone. It was fun. I can't wait to share those moments in videos this week for all of you. But yeah, it was fun. Then there was Bridge, and you can't sword your way across, but there is ways of cheesing your way apparently across with Strand. We didn't do that, but the funniest thing that we did notice in challenge mode is you can freeze the gatekeepers or stun them and just push them off. Yeah, you know that thing, remember in D1, I think it was in D1, you would sit behind this like tiny lamp and it would just walk off. Well, you can push it off, and that is hilarious. It's sticking true to the OG. Good job, Bungie. Really, really awesome. It's just really funny how you could do that. But once again, like the chalice and stuff like that, with how the mechanics were working, it made it more of an experience. I liked it. The ad density is also awesome. I love that about this raid. It almost kind of makes you feel like how good Sepix Prime is as a strike with all the ad density, which is funny because everyone makes memes about Crota's End being a strike. But I mean, for a raid, they have a lot of ad density, except for the last part, the last encounter, which I can understand why. But Uryut is probably the most insane when it comes to that. But yeah, the bridge, good. Uryut, oh my goodness, the amount of enemies, the ad density is so insane. I put on Risk Runner and went nuts. It is so much fun to mess with that encounter with how many things are spawning, like, because that's the main thing about raids. You want it to be a challenge, but you want it to be fun. And when you have so many things happening but not make it where it's impossible to do things, where it's just frustrating, like for example doing DPS, it's not fun. But they did it in a good way where if you're going to take your Enlighten to take out the wizards, you're not really going to deal with that ad density as much. And when you're doing DPS, you should be fine, especially if you have a well and stuff like that, or a tether, to also keep them away. But it's mainly the people that are like waiting in the one room. It's so fun. I just like it. It's cool. I was having a great time with it, with what I was using. And then the final encounter, Crota's End. Wow. Okay, so yeah, this one was where everything went chaotic, and it's a, you know, I was expecting it to be like this, but yeah, you got that presence of Crota, which where you can't heal regularly, I guess, but I never really noticed it because Orbs of Power really came in with the clutch. I had healing on my boots, and I had two builds. I had a build for survivability and just like for the main encounter, and then I switched to the basically copy paste build with surges, just for DPS on Crota. But yeah, I didn't really notice that problem. The big problem was just the wizards and Crota. Oh my goodness, the amount of damage. They do throw some Thrall and Curse Thrall, and there is ogres every time you want to spawn the sword bearer to take that out. The sword bearer heals, which is great. But you need 3 sword bearers. That's what we did to ensure to take down the shield, but more importantly, that was like the challenge. Which is funny how we were doing the challenge on regular and we didn't really fully know. We just were like, oh, well, let's just get 3 sword bearers and 2 people with enlightenment, 1 to expunge and 1 to take out the oversoul. Also, you do need enlightenment to take out an oversoul, so somebody on your team has to do that. It's so yeah, like I said, more mechanics, and pretty much what we decided to do is that when I took a sword, I went up with Z, and we just kind of took out the boomers that were spawning on the one tower. When it came to DPS, we used Lament, we used swords, we used 1 tractor cannon. We had 2 wells, but we also had our Titan use Phoenix Cradle finally, because that heals you. So with the hammers, the soul hammers of soul and stuff, so like that worked very well. I was using Star Eater with Gathering Storm, and that does a lot of damage. I was doing like 6 million damage in total after everything with using that, so very good choice. Then yeah, it was great. Challenge, and then after doing contest mode, doing the challenge mode where like the first encounter was kind of like what we were doing. You had to like preserve the light and then enlightenment. You couldn't enlighten and then preserve. Like we were doing that regardless. Like that was like something that we were just kind of doing, but that was when we started to cheese it, and when we realized that we could just preserve and the timer will reset. We don't have to enlighten it. So we were just like with 10 weight grappling using our sword. I was going invisible. It was fun. It was funny. Bridge encounter, you had to go across while the bridge was being destroyed, so you kind of like halfway or like a quarter of the way being across, you would jump and just sword slash across while it was being destroyed. That was interesting. We had a few moments where it's like, oof, challenge failed, but it was a reasonable challenge. Then for Uryut, you had to make sure that everyone had the buff at least once before taking it, the chalice. So just going around and around and around, but you didn't want two people to have it for damage phase, as in like before damage phase. Like every time a run was done, you would just keep going around. That was a bit chaotic, but we got through it. And then Crota's End was 3 swords. I think it was like you had to land the sword. The 3 swords had to land their swords within like 3 seconds of each other, or 2 seconds. But we never really had a challenge failed when it came to that. Like, we really didn't at all. So I don't know if there was like a timer, or it was just as long as you hit Crota before the shield's down with the 3 swords, you're good. But I wouldn't be surprised if there was like a time period. And we did it. It was, my goodness, it was, like I said, it was an experience. And I think that this is a good example of a contest mode for a raid, where like you don't make it completely impossible, and you don't make it too frustrating in certain areas where you just think that this is just bull. This is ridiculous. Like where they probably put enemies or whatever. Granted, those wizards in the final encounter just infinitely spawning. Oh gosh, that was driving us nuts. Won't lie. Like the ogres were a problem, and the swordbearer healing, and Crota being up there doing their thing. But those wizards. And when it comes to loot, I got some decent stuff. I actually got a pretty cool roll for my oversold edict. I think that's what the pulse is. I got the pulse, I got the hand cannon, I got the LMG, I got the shotgun, and of course I got Necrochasm. I got it because if you beaten, so we got it through contest mode. If I guess like you get Necrochasm if you beat Crota's End on contest. If you didn't, obviously there is going to be a way to get it without contest mode. But yeah, I thought you had to do challenge mode as well, but no, it was just contest mode. It gave us the and they give you all 3. So I'm both kind of disappointed and loving it at the same time. Like, I think that exotics and raids, making them RNG, was the excitement of, you know, redoing the raid over and over and over, because once you get the red borders, once you're able to craft, it's like, okay, I'm done. But at the same time, the quest for Necrochasm with the 3 different weapons, like, that's cool that they have a common, legendary, and then the exotic. So I have all 3. I can't wait to mess with them, even especially the common one, just trolling with it. But yeah, I mean, we just kind of skipped obviously that whole quest and stuff by just getting it right away, which is cool. I think that that's reasonable, because when you beat, yes, you get an emblem for beating the raid on challenge mode, but on contest mode beating it, I think you just get the emblem for beating it, but not contest mode. You get like for completing the raid that anybody can get. I'm not entirely sure, don't quote me. So it's like, what else did you get for bragging about it that, you know, will make it feel like, whoa, yeah, or worth it that you did it? I mean, getting the exotic right away, yeah, that's probably really worth it, isn't it? So I know everyone's probably like, oh no, it's not another Eyes of Tomorrow moment. I mean, if the next raid has that, I think that, yeah, it can be kind of disappointing to ruin the excitement of doing raids to get an exotic. So I don't know if they're gonna do that with the final shape raid, where if you beat it on contest mode, you're guaranteed the exotic. I have no idea. I know that they did that if you were world's first, but I think this is like the first time that if you beat it on contest mode, you get it regardless. It doesn't matter if you're world's first or not. So, but the emblem was cool as well for doing challenge mode. Like, it's just I'm gonna cherish that emblem with how much we went through and the experience. It was really fun. Like, it was really fun. There was moments where it was getting exhausting. It can be frustrating because you're tired. You know, I've been getting like barely any sleep because I have to work on things and videos at the same time. So I'm going to bed at like 3 a.m. and waking up at 8 a.m. And then I'm going back to the raid at 1. And then we're up until 3. Yeah. But I genuinely think that this is a good example of what contest mode it should be. I was a little bit worried when they said they were going to make contest mode a little bit more difficult, because I was like, are you going to make it impossible? Like an artificial difficulty with like the enemy's health, the bosses, where you really need to cheese damage to be able to beat it? Like, what are we talking here? And no, it wasn't as bad as I thought. I also was worried that they were gonna make us squishier. I was like, listen, even though Root of Nightmares was easy, I just getting destroyed by like 1 Scion or 2 was much. I think we're good on us being at the health amount that we have, and they didn't make it worse, so that was good. I was like, whew, okay. But yeah, like I said, this is a fun raid. It is really fun. I know that once contest mode is gone, and once like funny cheese strats are created, this might be a strike again to a lot of people. It might be, but they didn't make it better. They did make it more of a raid this time around, and it was fun, and it is fun, and it will stay fun. I'll continue to go through the raid, get all this stuff. I want the armor, which was really funny because people were like, yeah, really disappointing that the glow parts of the raid armor don't change with shaders, and I'm just like, fine by me, because it's green. Granted, I'm probably gonna eat those words and find that there's like something on the armor that's not green, doesn't change with the shader, and I'm gonna be like, oh. Like, I do agree that every part of your armor should be able to change with shader. I really do think that, because that's just how I think. So I can understand that frustration. I really do. But yeah, the weapons, with so far what I've seen, Necrochasm looks like it's going to be insane to play with. And the legendary weapons, the origin trait itself is really cool, and the perks that you can get are really cool. I really can't wait to mess with those. I can't wait to get the weapons crafted. Yeah, it's great. It's fun. Can't wait. It's good. Had a really good time. But yeah, like I said, just overall, I just wanted to share my thoughts on this. Since we beat it on contest and challenge, and I just kind of wanted to share like what I think of the overall experience, the raid, and the contest and challenge mode. Like, do I think that was more of a challenge, but not too much? Yeah, I liked it. It was good. Happy it's back. But yeah, like I said, I will be working on the highlights of this raid, the funny moments, the highlights or whatever throughout this week. So look forward to that. I will be uploading videos, of course, of me messing with the weapons as well. There's gonna be a lot of content. I'll be working very hard. But, yeah. I had fun. But regardless, let me know in the comments down below. Like, what are your thoughts on this raid? Did you beat it on contest mode or challenge mode? What were you stuck at if you didn't? And, yeah. Just tell me, what do you think? What do you think about the raid? But regardless, thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a chibi-tastic day, night, evening, wherever you are. And I'll see you in the next video. Chibi out.